Hi everyone. What I want to talk about today is the project that's been given to you as the final project for the course Muslim-Christian Relations. And this reason why this is the final project is because it's meant to really be the culmination of everything you've learned in this course. Ultimately, the course is entitled Christian-Muslim Relations because two things. One, so you can study how Christian-Muslim relations have gone over the course of those religions' lifespan and as they've existed concurrently with each other, but also so that you can be equipped for advancing those relations and actually being someone who can engage in the dialogue that happens between those two. And so what we've done is we've created a final project for you to engage in, for you to dive into, and to be part of that dialogue that occurs between the Christian and Muslim traditions. Now, whether or not you have a religious tradition in either of these, whether you yourself personally have a tradition or a background in either of these, isn't important. Many people take this course that are neither Christian nor Muslim, and they are able to take this course to discover how these two traditions have interacted, how they've interacted in the past, how the dialogue has been achieved before, and how it can be advanced in the future. And the goal of this course is to make you someone who can actually engage in that dialogue and promote good dialogue between these traditions. Being two dominant religious traditions in the world today, it's very likely in a globalist economy, it's very likely that you yourself are going to have a career that needs to interact with one or both of these traditions and possibly be part of seeing that dialogue occur between the two, and so that you can promote understanding between the two camps, really. So if you'll look through the assignment for the final project, is entitled "The Worship of the Other." And what I mean by other, it's not meant to be a derogatory term at all. It's just acknowledging that the other is not the tradition that you're part of, or not the tradition you're familiar with, or the one you grew up in. Now, it's not necessary for you to have been Christian or Muslim in order to do this assignment. The other can simply be the fact that either one of them is the other to you because you don't have either of these traditions. That's okay. But if you are one or the other, if you do have a background as a Christian or someone who's a background in a tradition in Islam, you yourself are going to be acquainted with the other as part of this final project. And yes, it's going to challenge your comfort zone, and you're going to have to step out of maybe the tradition that you're used to, but it's necessary for the purpose of this college course to look outside of what you've already known, to look outside of your specific world and see and engage in dialogue with the other. And the project talks if you go through the project description, it has a purpose statement, a summary statement, and also talks about the assignment components. And as there's related to an appointment, seeking an appointment with either a mosque or a Christian church, depending on which one is the other to you, and set up an interview where you're able to talk with a staff member, either a minister in the Christian tradition or a priest, or maybe in the Muslim tradition, maybe an imam or someone of a mosque who's willing to meet with you. And what you're going to do is you're going to get permission from them to participate or to attend, maybe not full participation, but to attend one of their services on when they regularly meet, so that you can see what takes place. And you're going to see categories within the assignment of what you'll observe while you're there. Categories related to those elements of the sacred that we've talked about elsewhere in the class. Sacred times related to sacred time, sacred space, sacred objects, sacred offices, sacred rites, and sacred myths. And when you made all those observations, then you're going to write a report, basically. And the report is going to be 3,000 words, or around 10 pages if it's 12-point font double spaced. That does not include any pictures that you'll include in the report. So it's very likely you will include pictures in the report because you'll probably take, if you're allowed to, or typically you can take pictures of any exterior shots, who knows whether or not they will be allowed to take pictures of the interior. But any pictures you'll include are not included in that 10 pages. But all the assignment, or all the components of the assignment, are in the project description, and it's due by the last day of class, or not the last day of class, when the due date is for the final assignment. So what you're going to do is, your first things first, you're going to select the Christian church or the mosque where you hope to attend, either for the Christian tradition, either a Sunday service, or for the mosque, either a Friday prayer service. And you're going to call them in advance, get in touch with them, and gain permission to interact with someone, to talk to them about what takes place there, admitting that you're not part of that tradition, that you don't, admit what you don't know, and you're going to approach with humble sincerity, basically. One thing we absolutely want to discourage is deceptively attending anyone's service. This is not insider, covert, undercover reporting. This is permission experience. So you're going to describe the assignment to them, anyone who's willing to talk to you. And if sometimes you might not encounter a warm reception at one, which means that you might have to move on to another. Houston is such a large cosmopolitan area that it is highly likely that if you don't get a warm reception at one place, there's another place that will talk to you. So it's your responsibility to call around and find out who is willing to meet with you, have this conversation, and allow you into one of their services. Describe the assignment. You can print it out and show that to them. You can forward to them the exact assignment here. Because ultimately, you want to be completely transparent about your intentions. Let them know what you'd like to achieve, and see if they're willing to walk you through it. And so, in many cases, churches, I can't speak for mosques, but in my experiences, churches are a mixed bag. Some will enthusiastically want to share with you all that they do, because exposure is good for them, and they think that they will benefit from more people knowing about what they do and explaining it to you to the fullest. Others may feel a little bit put off. They don't want to be studied as part of a college course. It's totally fine too. Each person has their own response, or each institution, each location has their own response to this. But ultimately, you'll approach them with humble sincerity as to what you hope to accomplish with the assignment. And really, ultimately, what you're going to accomplish is understanding. You understand their tradition better so that you can accurately represent it to others, ultimately. Now, in their mind, they may think, okay, this is someone who's curious about the religion. Maybe it's a potentially new convert. Well, that's not really why you're there. You're there to understand. You're there for wisdom and insight. You're there for someone who, when asked by others to describe the place you attended, you can accurately describe it to them in a way that would, honor those that who allowed you to attend. So ultimately, just be honest with everyone, and very transparent. That the goal is not just for a grade. The goal is for understanding, to be part of the dialogue, really, to be someone who can facilitate that dialogue with wisdom and with knowledge, and not just speculation as to what happens over in that closed building over there. Far too many people are, any sort of divide that happens, or any rift that happens in Christian-Muslim relations, too often happens because people speculate what happens inside of a mosque, or speculate what happens inside of a church, and they've never been there and never talked to anybody there at all. This helps to combat that. This helps to bridge the gap, so that a Muslim can say, no, I've attended a Christian church, I see what takes place there, and I have an understanding of what really goes on. Or a Christian is able to say, no, I was actually invited into a mosque. I saw the beauty of their prayer service. I saw the beauty of the architecture. It was very open to people were very open to me. And by having people who've done that sort of dialogue is achieved, and you're able to be part of the change agent that helps to bridge the gap and to repair divides that happen, but when people have different traditions and different ways of thinking and different philosophies and different ways of looking at the world, even different religions, or even different ways of describing God, and and following and showing themselves devoted to that tradition the way they do. All right. So the spirit of the assignment. Read through the assignment and make sure ask any questions that you have. Make sure you send them in Blackboard. But read through the components of the assignment. Ultimately, the point and the spirit of the assignment is that by the end, you yourself will be another person who can bridge those gaps and between cultures, and say to others, no, I've been there and seen it, and these people are all wonderful, nice, and here's a better representation of what they think. I've done this myself. I was able to attend services at a mosque here where I live, and I found that people were very open and were completely willing to describe everything I saw and dialogue with me about it. And I've been able to invite them to a visit to attend my church as well. Whether they take advantage of that or not is up to them, but the point is someone has to make the first step of trying to start that dialogue through understanding the experiences of the other. Again, the other is not a derogatory term. It's actually an admission of, when I describe the other, I'm admitting things I don't know, and I need to go find out. All right? So that's the purpose and an overview of the final project assignment. You go through all the details of the final project as it's given on Blackboard, and send me any questions you may have. All right. The whole project must be completed this semester and is due at the final when final projects are due, shown in your syllabus. All right. Have a good night.